the Apollo program. Now, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of individual photographs in those 40 rolls. They erased them. Why? Because they showed what they ran into on the moon. They showed what they ran into on the way to the moon. They showed what they ran into when they got there. This has got to go. We can't let that out. But some nitwit in NASA had forgotten that NASA had given a contract to the Japanese Space Agency back in the 60s, probably involving big bucks, where the Japanese, a sharp bunch of guys over there, bought every negative or every shot of every picture taken by the entire Apollo program, and they've got it in their computers in Japan. And NASA evidently forgot that. Now listen, you have to understand something. There are fine guys in NASA. There are good scientists. There's some fine people working there. I'm not putting them down. I take my hat off to them and I respect them. The ones that I'm really pissed off of are the administrators, the policymakers, the politicians. They forgot that they had sold all this to Japan. Lo and behold, I'm at a conference in Tokyo. I was a guest of Junichi Yaoi, one of the foremost Japanese researchers and UFO experts. I was on national television in Japan. While I was there, I was provided some photographs taken by NASA and the Apollo program that the Japanese Space Agency has been sitting on top of for a long, long time. And I'm about to show you a couple right now. Okay, this is -9. This is Apollo Systems A13. Yeah, Apollo Systems 13. Now, bear with me till I get this thing up here. Okay. This photograph was taken by Apollo 13. Now, you may remember Apollo 13. It was the one that never made it to the moon. They had a tiny explosion on the way where an oxygen tank blew up, and they were barely able to get to the moon, go around, and barely able to get home. But they were not alone on that trip. And so while they were out in the way, going and coming, they were little windows and they snapped pictures. This is one picture that was held by the Japanese Space Agency. You can see the Japanese writing here. Anyhow, I didn't bring my pointer. This is the moon, upper left. These two objects here, B and C, are fairly large, circular discs of some kind. But over here, A, which is moving into the scene, here is the positive and here is the negative. I hope you can all see that. The guys in the Apollo 13 capsule. Thank you, honey. Thank you very much. God, you guys are something else. Oh, here we are. Okay, this is a circular disk with a dome. Here's the moon, another disk, but this dude is coming into the picture. And here we are. Here's the photo, and here's the negative down here. This object is 5 miles long. So you wonder why NASA is keeping its mouth shut. How can they talk about something like that? How can they release something like that to you? An object we encountered on the way to the moon that's 5 miles long. Now, just give some thought. Try to consider a technology, a culture, a civilization that can not only build something like that, put it in space, put it in orbit around the Earth, but staff it and man it with how many? I had the pleasure of being on a couple of aircraft carriers. My son is a career naval officer. Spent 14 years on aircraft carriers, Nimitz class, atomic-powered carriers. For those of you who don't know, they are impressive. They're 1,000 feet long. They have a crew complement of 5,000 men. These big nuclear Nimitz class carriers have 5,000 guys in their crew. They're massive, they're gigantic, they're unbelievable. Now, we were joking one day about it, Eric and I, my son. What kind of a crew would this dude have with, 5 miles? What are they doing over there? What is their pastime? What is their function? What is their purpose? And having been on a Nimitz carrier a couple of times, they're very impressive. Soda fountains, snack bars and all the rest of it to make the guys comfortable, I've assumed that on board an object out there 5 miles long, you have bowling alleys, restaurants, theaters, all kinds of entertainment. Because we've learned over the years that if you're an alien and you are involved in human beings, you need entertainment. So they probably have saunas aboard, and probably the most favorite pastime, I would think, is watching human television. Think for a moment, having watched it yourself, and all of the idiotic crap that goes on TV, and imagine what a bunch of guys from another star system are thinking. They're rolling in the aisles probably, laughing about these unbelievable monkeys down there, and they're watching our stories, Dancing with the Stars. And they are supposed to think of us as being intelligent and advanced and sophisticated. Oh my. Okay. This is the first shot. Here is the second one. This is negative 10. Okay. Now that big dude has moved over into the middle of the frame. And another object has showed up over here, was estimated at being 2 miles long. But this one, 5 miles. Here is the print and here is the negative. It's the same object, but it seems to have had moved somewhat. And we're not getting a full side view like we did in the other picture. We're getting a little elongated. And there are a couple of circular disc-like objects here. Apparently, it's like a carrier. It puts its aircraft out and brings them back, and it's probably a carrier for discs, alien discs that we find in our skies all the time. But again, when you start considering the magnitude of the size and the implications of what it means, then you can almost sympathize with the authorities about, we can't tell those people these things. No. They're not ready for it. No. Hell, they weren't ready for it. They're the ones that were scared to death. You guys can probably handle it. But they can't. That was only the beginning of the story. Over the years, I've been fortunate in that I have been lucky in finding smart people in the most unlikely places. I'm speaking at a conference at the Bay Area a number of years ago, and a little dude shows up by the name of Norman Bergeron. Norman retired from NASA after almost 30 years. He was an engineer and a photographic expert, and he was responsible. He and a number of others were responsible in putting together what they called the Voyager program. Because in the late 70s, astronomers and guys in NASA